This is Cindy Best from Best Law Firm, and we're on the petition for dissolution of a non-covenant marriage with minor children that is necessary to fill out to file for a divorce in Phoenix, Arizona, in Maricopa County. So you can look at our other introductory video to find where you find this form online in the maricopacounty.gov website. So let's look at this petition that's required by the court. This is one of a series of documents that you file all at the same time. Ross files this. He lives in New York, Arizona, so he's a resident of Arizona. He's representing himself. This is captioned a petition for dissolution of non-covenant marriage divorce with minor children, meaning children 18 years of age or younger. The case number will be filled in by the clerk, so you don't fill that in, but you do fill in your name and the name of the respondent, who happens to be Rachel Chandler. Ross fills in information about himself and his address here in Arizona and his date of birth. He doesn't really have to fill in his job title. He could put in the number of days he's lived in Arizona. We'll get to that farther along on the form. He fills in the information he has about Rachel and her date of birth, so she's not confused with anybody else in the system. And you'll see that she's also a resident of Arizona. The court requires that you tell them when your date of marriage was and the city and county where you were married. They happen to be married in Las Vegas, Nevada. And then you have to avow to the court, by a notary at the end of this document, by the way, that these things are true. First, you do not have a covenant marriage, that your marriage is irretrievably broken, that you've tried to resolve your problems through the Maricopa County Conciliation Services, or if you did go to the services, they would not work. And the last one, because you have children, you have to tell the court that they have jurisdiction to decide child custody matters under Arizona law, which in short means your children have lived here for 6 months. Number 4, you have to advise the court that you or your spouse have lived in Arizona for 90 days prior to filing this action, unless one of you was stationed here as a member of the armed services. You also are asked by the court to advise them whether or not there's been domestic violence in your marriage. So you go to page 2. This is a long document, 7 pages. Under number 6, you have to tell the court which of your names of your children and their date of birth. And Monica and Joey both lived in Arizona, so they are residents. You also are asked by the court that wife is not now pregnant. If you go down to number 7, you check that box. Community property, any property acquired during the marriage is presumed to be community, but there are certain exceptions, and you can see our video on property if you have more questions about that. But in general, you probably did acquire some community property during your marriage, and you should divide it equitably. You don't have to. You can put in your address if you would like. It's not required to put in a list of all your property just to file for your petition, but the particular court form does have spaces for that if you choose to do so, but it's not required. So let's go to page 3 of the document. You do not have to list your household furniture and appliances. It might make it easier at some point in time to list those, but it does not have to be filed here. And there's also a caution that you may not want to advise the public exactly what you own and where it's located. And it's not a requirement in order to get your divorce that you listed in your petition. The same is true for your motor vehicles. You do need to know the answers to all these questions at some point in time in order to split the property equitably, but you don't have to provide it in here. You go to page 4 of the form, and you will have some separate property. That's property that you either brought into the marriage, somebody gave it to you, it's a gift, or it's personal in terms of maybe your golf clubs or your computer or your cell phone, and you want to keep that as sole and separate property. Community debts, if you have any debts that you incurred during the marriage, they're generally considered community debts. So you might just say you want to divide those equitably without listing those as well, because this document is public knowledge, and you may not want the public to know all this information about you. And you may have some separate debts that were incurred, either debt you incurred prior to the marriage, debt that you decided was going to be your sole and separate debt, and you can fill that out and you'll say that you'll take care of your sole and separate debt. You don't have to list it again. Tax returns, you'll have to read this very carefully and see how you would like your tax returns to be taken care of. So read that and see what you would like. That's a standard form that is oftentimes put in the decree, and so if you want that to be your end result, you could check that box as well. So let's go to page 5. And you have to tell the court whether you want spousal maintenance. That's also called alimony. In other words, you want one partner to make payments to the other partner to help them sustain pay their bills after the divorce. Written custody agreement. These are required. You may not have them yet as you're filing for this divorce, but before you get divorced, you're going to have a written agreement signed by the parties regarding custody, meaning who makes legal decisions, parenting time, meaning where the child lives and when, and child support, if any, where one parent pays child support monies to the other parent. And then you can advise the court whether you've attached a copy of the written agreement. So you don't have to have this necessarily to get filed, to have your petition filed, but you will have to have it to get divorced. So now, requests to the court. These are basically what you are asking the court to order. You want to order that you're divorced, that you're each a single person. If you changed your name and you want it to be taken back to your maiden name, you tell the court that. If you want to declare the father to be your husband to be the father of the children, you'll name the children there under the bottom of page 5. Then you go to the next page and you will put in what you require or request you want the court to order regarding custody and parenting time. And we have separate videos explaining child custody, legal custody, and physical custody, which is also called parenting time. But you can read through those, and if you can't decide on that now, you don't have to fill it out in order to get your divorce, but you might have some sort of an idea, and if you don't like how it's worded there, you can fill it in on your own at the very bottom and tell the court what you would like. And you also have the option for joint custody. Again, you will see that there's a statute, ARS, under the joint custody box, 25-303.03, and you can look that up. You can have joint custody, but there can't have been significant domestic violence in your marriage requesting joint custody. And remember, joint custody is just the ability to make legal decisions, mostly regarding health and education, on a 50-50 basis between the parents after the divorce. Child support, you may not know if one parent owes the other child support because that is decided by a child support worksheet, which is a mathematical calculation after you plug in certain numbers regarding parenting time and wages and who's going to pay the medical for the children. So you may not know that right now, but if you would like one parent or the other to pay, you can check that box and then do the worksheet at a later date. The medical, dental, and vision care for minor children, usually one parent is responsible for that, so you'll want to check that box. And if somebody's paying for it now, usually that parent continues to pay for it after the divorce. And then you go to the last page, and you tell the court what you would like for tax exemptions, and sometimes that depends on the child support worksheet, and there are more details about that particular issue. So if you don't know for now, you can just put what your best request is, your best guess is, and it can change later as well. And we'll also have a separate video on tax exemption and what that means. Spousal maintenance, that you may not know if you want maintenance or whether you should pay maintenance or whether you're entitled to maintenance. We have a separate video on that particular issue, but if you're not sure for now, you could say you're just unsure, or if you would like it, go ahead and check the box, and you can change your mind at a later date. You would like the court to order a fair division of all community property. You would like the court to order a fair division of the community debt, so you can read through that paragraph. And if there's anything else that you're requesting, you can explain it there. You may request supervised parenting time by one of the parties. You may request that you get to stay in the house. You may request that you drive a certain car. Any type of other orders that you would like, you can handwrite them in there. And at the very end, you have this particular form notarized, which means that you swear that it's true to the best of your knowledge and correct under the penalty of perjury, and you are finished with your petition for a divorce with children in Maricopa County, Arizona. Thank you.